Welcome back, everyone. This channel is dedicated to all things personal finance related. So today we're going to be talking about how to increase the credit limit on your credit cards. Now, an increased credit limit is going to be more than simply financial bragging rights for you and your friends. It's going to actually provide a few real, tangible benefits as well. So the first thing is an increased credit limit on your credit cards can actually increase your credit score. So your credit score is broken down into several categories, and if you're interested in finding out more about this particular topic, be sure to watch this video over here. But ultimately, your credit utilization rate is going to make up 30% of your overall credit score. It's the second most important category right after making sure that you're actually paying your bills on time. So it's very important that you keep this utilization rate as low as possible. So there's two ways to keep your utilization rate low. Either by not spending a lot of money on your credit cards or having a ridiculously high credit limit. So by increasing your credit limit, you're going to increase your credit score in this particular category. And the second reason why you might want a credit card with a high spending limit is if you just have one of those, introductory credit cards, maybe a $500 or $1,000 credit limit. What do you do if your car suddenly breaks down and it's going to cost you $1,200 to fix it? Well, in a situation like that, since it's over your credit limit, you can't put that purchase on a credit card, so you got to pay cash or find some alternative way to come up with the money. Now that could be problematic for a couple of reasons, but one of the biggest, simplest reasons, at least in my opinion, is you are missing out on all of the cashback or points, rewards, whatever it is that your credit card offers. So even if you just had a flat 2% cashback credit card like the Citi Double Cash card, that's going to be $24 worth of cash back that you're missing out on simply by not being able to put this $1,200 car expense on your credit card. So here today we're going to talk about 4 tips and strategies that you can use to increase and boost that credit limit so that you can actually take advantage of all of this stuff. Now, as with everything credit related, be sure to actually pay your bills on time every time. Don't just simply ask for a higher credit limit so that you can actually rack up more and more credit card debt, because paying interest on credit card debt is the easiest way to financially lose the game. So the first way to increase your credit limit is to simply have good credit. And that's kind of the universal answer for everything credit or credit score or credit card related, is to have good credit. You see, the higher your credit score is, the more a bank or a lending institution is going to trust you. If you're consistently not paying your bills on time and the bank is always having to chase you down, asking you, hey, where's my money? Do they really feel comfortable giving you access to even more money? But by being responsible and paying your bills in full every time on time, you're showing the banks that you are financially stable and that you're financially responsible. And so in a case like this, they are much more likely to approve you for an increase in your credit limit. So if you haven't already, the first thing you want to do if you want a higher credit limit is just to simply work on your credit score. And the second thing that you can do to make sure that you have a really high credit limit on all of your cards is actually to apply for the right credit cards. Now, you may have applied for a Discover card or something like that for your very first card because it was really easy to get into the game and they were the only credit card that would actually approve you. But chances are, all of those introductory, those beginner credit cards, they are going to have a very low credit limit, even as the ceiling. So even if you have flawless credit and you make a ton of money every year, they're still not going to approve you for a very high credit limit. A lot of cards simply max out at a very low level. So if you're interested in trying to increase your credit limit, you might try to look at some of the more premium credit cards. Now, some of the premium credit cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, they are going to have a minimum of a $10,000 credit limit if you get approved for one of these cards. But the downside with some of these premium credit cards is they have an annual fee associated with them. In the case of that Chase Sapphire Reserve, that annual fee is multiple hundreds of dollars every year. So be sure that you're looking at credit cards that don't have an annual fee, but credit cards that typically require an excellent credit score, maybe 680 or 720 or higher. These credit cards, even if they don't have an annual fee, will typically have a much higher ceiling as far as how high the credit card company is willing to go when they issue you one of these credit cards. So if all you've got is some of these beginner credit cards from when you first turned 18 or something like that, it might be time to go out and start applying for a few different credit cards, a little bit more elite credit cards, because they're going to offer you a better credit limit. And the third thing that you can do to get a credit card with a really high limit is to actually apply for business credit cards. Now, you might be saying, but I don't own a business, so how can I apply for a business credit card? Well, it's easier than you think. A lot of people have some sort of a side hustle or project that they do on the side that makes them a little bit of money. And as far as the credit card companies are concerned, that is a qualifying business. It doesn't mean that you have to own an actual store or sell a bunch of products. You don't have to own your own restaurant or anything like that. If you drive even just part-time for Uber or Lyft, or if you sell a few things online at Etsy, or maybe you do some wholesaling or Amazon drop shipping or something like that, if you have some kind of a side gig that earns you any additional income, that qualifies you for a business credit card. And business credit cards typically have significantly higher credit limits than personal credit cards do. So for example, two credit cards that I have, the Chase Sapphire Preferred and the Chase Inc. Business Preferred. I have both of these credit cards, and the personal version of this credit card initially came with a $2,500 credit limit, but the business version of that card came with a $20,000 credit limit. Same income, same credit score, same person, drastically different credit limits, simply because this was a business credit card as opposed to a personal credit card. So think about applying for some business credit cards. And the last way to get a higher credit limit is just to simply ask for one. Now, a lot of times companies might give you an annual or semi-annual increase in your credit score depending on how often you use that card and what your credit score is and your spending habits and things like that. So naturally, over time, your credit limit may increase, but it's probably going to do it at a relatively slow rate. So the easiest way to supercharge all of that is to just ask for it. Now you can go and call customer service, that telephone number that's printed on the back of your credit card, and speak to a representative and ask them for a credit increase. But that kind of sucks because then you might be on hold for 20 minutes before you actually talk to somebody. So what I prefer is to simply go online and request a credit limit from their portal. Now you're probably not going to want to ask for a credit increase immediately. You're probably going to want to let your credit card season for at least 6 months or so before you actually ask for a credit increase. So if you just applied for a new card and you just got it in the mail, you're not going to want to turn around and give them a call in a week or two and ask for a higher limit. You're going to want to let this thing set for at least a couple of months. Make sure you're making payments, make sure you're using it properly, and then ask for an increase. Now, when you go online and you ask for an increase in your credit limit, they're going to ask you a couple of questions in return, and one of them is always going to be, what is your annual income? Now, this is going to be especially important because the higher your income is, the more confident a lender feels that you're going to actually repay them. I mean, think about it this way. What do you think the odds are that a bank is going to approve you for a credit card with a $30,000 credit limit if you only make $30,000 a year? So especially if you haven't updated your income recently, maybe you got a couple of promotions, or maybe you started that side hustle, you're driving for Uber and Lyft on the weekends, or whatever it is that you're doing, make sure you add up all of your income. So you're going to want to flex as much as possible when it comes to reporting your income, because the higher your income, the higher your credit limit is likely to be. Now, some companies are much more generous than others when it comes to increasing your credit limit. One that is notoriously generous for giving very large credit limit increases is American Express. Now, a lot of times you can go and ask for up to triple your credit limit. So long as you're using this credit card responsibly, you're paying your bills on time like you're supposed to. There's a lot of data points out there that will suggest that American Express will actually triple your credit limit, and that can be a game changer when it comes to some of this stuff. Plus, there's really two big credit card players when it comes to rewards: Chase and American Express. They are head and shoulders above everybody else when it comes to rewards cards. So if you're thinking about getting a new card, you may as well just go with American Express and start that relationship with them, because they have a ton of really amazing credit cards out there. So the sooner you start that relationship with American Express, the better. So a quick recap of the 4 ways to increase your credit limits. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you actually have a good credit score. You want to make sure that banks trust you and that you're reliable. Number 2, you want to make sure that you're applying for the right credit cards, as those beginner cards typically have a very low credit limit. Number 3, you're going to want to apply for a business credit card, and business credit cards are a lot easier to qualify for than you would think. And last but not least, simply ask for an increase in your credit score. Now, if you found this video useful, be sure to leave a comment, give the video a thumbs up. It really helps the YouTube algorithm and helps channels like this grow. And as always, be sure to subscribe. I put out several new personal finance videos each and every week, so I'll see you all again next time.